was saying that as a parent, we can't now compare the abilities of our first child, of their first child, to the abilities of the second child, saying that the child must be like the first child. Probably because you love children who are focused, coordinated, who knows how to sit at a place and knows how to do things well, coordinated and all of that. But meanwhile, this second child is a child that loves to be up and about. And you know the beautiful thing? When these two children are in public, they switch. It's more like they switch behaviors. You know, they switch behaviors. They switch behaviors. So this is what understanding multiple intelligences does. It answers questions like, why are two children raised in the same home? Why two children raised in the same home learn differently? Okay, moving on. The types of intelligences. So there are different types of intelligences, and the one that we look into more are 8. The one that we will focus more into. There are 8 types of intelligences. And every child or each child may have a dominant intelligence or multiple. Each child may have a dominant intelligence or multiple. So, 1, we have the logical mathematical intelligence. So, but for tonight, before I go on, for tonight, we're going to look into 4 because of time. Then next week, Saturday, we will complete the remaining 4. So we have logical mathematical intelligence. We have the verbal linguistic intelligence. I would explain all of them. We have the bodily kinesthetic intelligence. We have the musical rhythmic intelligence. We have the interpersonal intelligence. We have the intrapersonal intelligence. And then we have the naturalistic intelligence. Like I said, every child can have either one of these or 2 or more or multiple. So let's get into the first one, which is the logical mathematical intelligence. So these are the problem solvers. Logical, please, those on YouTube, please let me know if you can hear me. I would appreciate that. So logical mathematical intelligence are learners, or rather it's a type of intelligence where you will realize that such a person who has such intelligence are problem solvers. From the word logical, mathematical intelligence, logic, maths, these are problem solvers. They love to solve problems. From the word logical mathematical intelligence, they are problem solvers. And how do you spot such children, such learners that has a multiple, or who is a logical mathematical intelligent child? How you spot them is that they love puzzles. They love patterns. They love numbers. They love to ask the why and the how question a lot. Everything you tell them to do, they're asking you why. They're like, why? Okay, why should I do it? Why? Why? How? Those are logical, mathematical, intelligent learners because their brain processes things logically. They always want to solve a problem. So when you tell them to do things, or when they are in class or in school, you will see that they are the ones that do not have a problem with mathematics. They enjoy experiments. These are the kind of students that are good to go into the science classes because they won't have problem with maths. You can't say, okay, because we will move into it though, but such learners, that's the multiple, the logical mathematical intelligence, this kind of people are the ones who are very, very, very good with maths. They are very good with maths. So such a learner, how you spot them is that they enjoy experiments. They love to ask the why and the how questions a lot. They love puzzles, they love patterns, they love numbers. Such a child will not struggle with maths. You see that a child who rearranges toys, or they love to do things by sizes, they love to solve problems quickly, even if their English score is low. Such a child is a logical, mathematical intelligence child. And the child, okay, you can hear me, thank you very much, I'm so sorry. And such a child, you can't say because the child was not good enough or has low English grades, then the child is dull. No, you can't say that. That child's intelligence is in maths. That child's a critical thinker. That learner is a logical learner. How to spot that kind of child is that they are always asking how, why are things like that? Why are things happening? Okay, please, I'm going to answer questions at the end of the class, so please you can just drop your questions, or rather jot them down, and there will be a section for answering questions, please. So please, you will see that the child loves to ask why every single time. Such a child is a logical, mathematically intelligent child. And guess what? The child can be very good in maths, but what? His English is not good. Then you won't say that because of his English not being good, he's not smart or he's not intelligent. But rather, you are not getting to know that that's his dominant intelligence. That's why it's called multiple intelligences. It's because he can have this as a dominant intelligence and have another one. So the next one is the verbal linguistic intelligence. From the word verbal linguistic intelligence. From the word verbal. These are the communicators. They love to communicate. Such a child with an intelligence like this, they don't have a problem talking in public. They don't have a problem speaking with people. That is their strong intelligence. I call them the communicators. They're the verbal linguistic intelligence learners. They don't have a problem speaking in public. They don't have a problem communicating to you. You can see that when they're communicating with you, you can literally understand them clearly. Their train of thought is so smooth that you can get it without even trying to, put 2 and 3 together to get what you're saying. And how do you get to know such a learner or a child? Excuse me, is a verbal linguistic intelligent child. Is that they talk a lot. Is that they love to talk. They enjoy storytelling. They can tell you stories from now till next week. They can tell you how their day went, what happened in school, even without you asking them. They will naturally talk to you, explain things to you, and you would understand it. Those are verbal linguistic intelligence learners or students. They have a strong vocabulary. They use very good English languages, English words, and they have a good understanding of what the word means to them. They have a very strong vocabulary. They ask many questions too, because they love to tell stories. Also, they love books. They love to read. I'm sure you would have seen, if you're a teacher, you would have noticed this child in your class that always picks up a book, even when it's not time to teach. Or as a parent, you have that one child when you don't need to force the child to go and pick his book or her book to read. Such a child is a verbally linguistic intelligent child. Meaning children, or you see that people that read, it has been said that people who spend time reading are good communicators. So that's how to spot your learner who is a verbal linguistic intelligent learner. A child who talks to themselves during play or loves explaining things to others is a verbally linguistic intelligent child. The next one is the visual spatial intelligence. These ones are the picture thinkers. They are the picture thinkers. So they picture everything in their head. They picture everything in their mind, everything in their head. And how do you spot them? Such people understand better with pictures. So from the word visual, they picture everything. So no matter what is being taught, no matter what you are telling them, they have to see a graphical representation of what you're saying. They have to see a diagram. They have to see just a picture. They need to see it on a screen. They need to literally see what you are telling them before they can actually grab what you're saying. They love colors. They love images. They love drawing. They understand directions. They don't need to stress them. Just tell them, this is it, and show them rather. So by the time they see it, they've gotten it. And a child who draws beautifully but struggles with theoretical subjects, that's a visual spatial intelligent child. You will see that the child, when it comes to theory, I mean, you are theoretically teaching, you're just saying it to them. They jot down, they are writing. Trust me, they will not grab as much as when you show what you are telling them. They will not grab it, they will not get it, they will not understand what you are saying faster than when you show them an actual picture of what you've been trying to say. So such a learner is called a visual spatial intelligent learner. And the fourth one we're going to deal with this night is called the bodily kinesthetic intelligence. These are the hands-on learners. These ones, I so love them. These ones do not sit at a place. And how do you spot them? Is that they'll always move. They are always up and about. They love sports. They love physical activities. They love physical play. They learn by touching or doing. They love dancing. They love running. They prefer active games. They love activities. If you were here from the beginning, I was telling you about a story of my relatives. Two of the kids, born of the same parents. The first child loves to sit, read a book. He's always on his glasses. He's reading. He's on his system. And the other child is always up and about. This is who that child is. That child's strongest intelligence is the bodily kinesthetic intelligence child. So all of this is so that we can tell and spot and then know how to channel their strength into learning and understanding a subject that they feel almost all the time. So for a bodily kinesthetic intelligent learner, you can't say that child should sit in class and understand maths the way a verbally linguistic intelligence learner will do. A bodily kinesthetic intelligence learner wants to move. That child is restless in quotes. That child can't sit still in class. But trust me, every single thing that his hands can get on, he fixes. So when you understand your child's strongest intelligence, you know how to approach academics with them and for them. The way you teach mathematics to a verbally linguistic intelligence learner, it's not the same way you teach mathematics to a bodily kinesthetic intelligence learner. Am I saying you should teach all the child differently if you're a teacher? No. But you should know how to tweak it a bit. At times you have to make a bodily movement and activity and an active arrangement in class where they have to learn. And as a parent, when you've been able to spot that this is who my child is, this is my child's strongest intelligence, what do I do? No matter what they've been taught in school, when they come home, they will have to demonstrate it. They will not learn or rather understanding better by demonstration or practical. So the way you teach such a child maths, it's not the same way you will teach the other child mathematics. That's why as parents, It is advisable that you don't leave everything for the school. And then you keep complaining that the child is not doing well academically. The teachers can't do everything. But what you do as a parent is that you find out, last week I talked about learning styles. If you can check my YouTube page, it's there. I talked about understanding learning preferences. When you understand the way the child learns, you know their strongest intelligence. Trust me, they will have good academic grades. And aside the academic grades, aside the four walls of schools, in the world of work, they know where to fit in. They're not doing things that they don't want to do and end up wasting time and coming out after some years spent with money spent in the university and doing things that they don't wish for their enemies to even do. So you don't teach a child who is a bodily, kinesthetic, intelligent learner the way you teach a child who is a visual, spatial, intelligent learner. For visual, spatial, intelligent learner, they want to see. They're not theoretical. You show them. Same thing with the bodily, kinesthetic learner. They don't want to sit at a place. They want to move. They want to move. So, such a child who is restless, that cannot sit still in a class, but can fix anything his hands can get at, can get on. While he's at home, such a child can fix anything and not have an issue with it. So before we go on, I just want to know if we've been following, if we've understood what I've been saying so far. Before we continue, please let me know in the comment section. Just type, yes, I've been following and I understand what has been going on. Yes, I have been following. Please let me know in the comment section if you have been following and you understand what I've been saying. All right, let's just move on. How can parents and teachers identify their child's multiple intelligence? How can you identify your child's multiple intelligence? How can you tell? How can you tell your child's multiple intelligence? How can you tell which is this or which is that? What is that strong intelligence in your child? From all that I've said so far, how can parents, how can teachers identify their child's multiple intelligences? One of the ways is by observing their natural things, observing their natural play, the things they can do naturally without being forced. I usually say these things, that the strength of a child lies in their natural abilities. Yes. If all I've been saying you've not grabbed anything, grab this one. The strength of a child lies in their natural abilities. So the thing that they can do naturally, without you forcing them, without them having an issue, that is where their natural or their strong or their multiple intelligence lie. Observe their natural play, things they do without struggle. Ask questions like, what do they do when no one is forcing them? What do they do when no one is forcing them? You can also notice what they do with ease. That is how you can notice it. That is how to spot. What can you do? How you can identify. Is that you notice what they do with ease. They don't have you don't need to force that child. Intelligence often shows up as what comes naturally, what doesn't drain them, what excites them, the things they are good at. They can fix anything anything they put their hands on, they can fix it. They are good at drawing, they speak well, and they can talk for hours. They can talk for hours, and they will not get, drained from talking. The strength of a child lies in their natural abilities. So the things that you can see them do naturally, what comes naturally is in their intelligence. That's their intelligence. What doesn't drain them, that's their intelligence. What excites them, what they find joy in doing, is their intelligence. What else can you do? Pay attention to the kind of questions they ask. The type of questions children ask reflects the intelligence they use. Pay attention to the kind of questions children ask. The kind of questions your children ask, your learner. Because the type of questions children ask reflects the intelligence they use. And there are some common misdiagnoses in children that is currently happening in our education system of nowadays. Is that we've said any child who is restless, the child doesn't know how to do this. But let me tell you, this is a simple way of finding out. Any child you see today who is always restless, doesn't sit in a place, that child is bodily intelligent. Yeah. The child is bodily intelligent. The child is very active. That is their intelligence. Any child that you see that talks too much is linguistic intelligence. You complain, oh, this child talks a lot. I'm tired. This child talks a lot. Every time you're always talking. Please keep quiet. Please keep short. You are killing that child's intelligence. What you should do as a parent or an educator is that you should help channel that strength, that intelligence, into becoming a good communicator, a public speaker, a spokesman. And there are other things. This will help you as a parent see how their strengths are often mistaken as weaknesses. Those things that you claim are their weaknesses, they are actually their strength, though. They are their strength. Say you're always wanting to, why don't you sit at a place? Why are you here? Why are you there? Why are you talking too much? That is their strength. It's not a weakness, it's a strength. Such a learner or such a child is or can be a good public speaker tomorrow. So the reason for saying all of things that we say is just so that they can have a future, a career, doing what they love, enjoying what they are doing, and making wealth out of it. Statistically, it is said, or has been said, that millions of people, 85% of adults, are in jobs, careers that they never want to be in. What happened? It started from childhood. It started from when their parents decided that this is what this child must become in the future, and it's by force I stand on it. In this day and time, if you still do that as a parent, it is wrong. In this day and time, if you still push your child that he or she must study a course because you believe that it is fulfilling, or so that you can answer a certain identity, not because it is what the child is naturally good at, or not because it's their area of strength, or you've noticed that it's their type of intelligence, but because you think it's fulfilling. If you're a parent that still do that, you are wrong. Do not force your children to study courses that are not related to who they are naturally. it would affect them. It will affect them badly. Before they will get to figure out what they want to do, they are over 30 years, over 40 years, some even 50. Why allow your child go through all of that when they can actually start early? When they can actually start early. Figure out who they are, how they learn, their strongest intelligence, that they are not dull, and now know how to channel their strength, the things you call weaknesses, which are not weaknesses, into a fulfilling purpose. Every child has a unique potential. There is something about the children you've given birth to. You can tell yourself that as a parent, you know how it was like for you growing up. You studied a course in university because it was a societal thing that everybody must go to university. And then you had to force your way into, maybe you tried to write JAMB, you tried to write, if you're Nigerian, you tried to write JAMB, and you wanted to go for a course, medicine and surgery, and you weren't giving. Not because you were not smart, but because when you were trying to put your head in, it's not your area of strength. If not, it wouldn't have been an issue for you to gain the admission. Of course, there are subjects that we have to write to go for a certain course. But I am saying this to us parents, teachers, is that do not force your child to study or be in a career that seems fulfilling, but they will not enjoy it or even find out what their inner potentials are. One, what they can do naturally. So all of this put together is the reason why RISA Education Consulting has put a boot camp that we call the Career Discovery Boot Camp. And what is the Career Discovery Boot Camp? It is a boot camp where it helps children between the ages of 10 to 18 find out their learning strength, find out their multiple intelligence, find out their area of strength, find out their inner potential. It is a one-week boot camp where we take children through this rigorous, teaching, in-depth, one-on-one conversation, getting to know how they talk. We give them different what we call the future path psychometric assessment. So this assessment helps us to detect. They answer few questions. They answer questions, we give them work to do, we give them things to do, they answer them, and then we're able to tell how this child learns, what this child's strongest intelligence is, where their area of strength is, and the kind of career that is going to be fit for them. For example, you can't tell a fish to climb a tree because you believe that anybody or anything can climb a tree. What's going to happen? That child or rather the fish is going to feel like he's not smart or he has failed in life. But rather, the strength of that fish is in the river, in the ocean. Same thing as a monkey. A monkey will naturally climb the tree because that's the area of strength of a monkey. So that is what the Career Discovery Bootcamp is all about. Where we will find out and figure out this is who this child is. This is a career this child should go into. This is the kind of subjects the child should do in secondary school. This is the child should either go into arts, science, or commercial, because we've been able to figure out, not because the child passes maths, that's why the child should be in science, no. Not because the child can pass chemistry is a reason why the child should be in science, no. Not because the child is good in calculation, then the child should be in commercial, no. But rather, this is why the Career Discovery Bootcamp is here. So that we can help your children understand who they are. They find out their inner potential on time and begin to live in a career on time and make good money out of it. And not waste years over the circle of figuring out what they want to do. So, The Career Discovery Bootcamp is, like I said, it is for children between the ages of 10 and 18. It is for children between the ages of 10 and 18. And, sorry, I'm trying to share my screen. Yeah, it is for children between the ages of 10 and 18. And the price is 50,000 naira per child. It is 50,000 naira per child. Like I said, it's a 1 week boot camp. It is a 1 week boot camp. So do not allow your child go through the mistakes that you went through as a parent. Do not allow your child go through the same thing that you did as a parent, where you had to struggle. You struggled in university, you studied a course because your parents are saying you must study it, you must be a medical doctor, you must do this, you must do that. Not because it was who or what you wanted to become. Not because you had a flair for it. But because you said, well, I want to make my parents proud. And when you are now studying the course, you now realize that, man, I'm not called for this. I can't even look at blood. But you just scaled your way through to pass. And now that you're out of the university, you're not using your certificate. You're not doing it. So why allow your children go through that? Why use money, spend money in university, and now you are scared of raising a failure? That is why the Career Discovery Bootcamp is here for you. We've actually got messages right now, Mom. I'm getting messages that, oh, the 50,000 naira, I have more than one child. What can I do? Will I pay for the 2 kids for the same amount? What can I do? Okay. For the sake of those of us who were able to join for this webinar tonight, because of how much it means to me, I'm going to give us a special offer tonight. For the sake of us, those of us that joined the webinar, I'm really impressed. Thank you so much for joining. And because of that, I'm going to give us a special offer. But this offer is going to end tonight or midnight. This offer is going to end midnight. So as a parent, instead of paying the 50,000 naira for tonight, it is just for tonight, you are allowed to pay 19,500 naira. Please, this offer ends by midnight. From tomorrow, anything from 12:01, 12:02, please, the offer price goes back to normal. And please, it is limited. We have a setting. We're looking at just 20 people, 20 children to work with. We already have some people who have taken the slots. So please, if you want to register for your child, drop in the comment section that I want to register for my child, because we are working with a limited student so that it can be very intense and interactive. We don't want children going through that circle of wasting time anymore. And for parents that have more than one kid, for the parent that just asked this question, because you have more than one kid and you are registering for more than one child, you are allowed to pay 15,000 naira per child. So for parents with a child, per child, you are allowed to pay 19,500 naira per child. For parents that are registering more than one child, for 2 children above, you are allowed to pay 15,000 naira. But please, this offer ends by midnight. Drop in the comment section if you are ready for registration, and then the team will answer you immediately. So do not allow your children, I beg you, do not allow them go through this, the things that you went through as a parent in your academics. So before we go today, it is time for question and answer section. It is time to ask your question as a parent. Everything I've said so far, it's question time. Question. You can ask your question. Okay. Feel free to ask your question. Okay. Question and answer, question and answer. All right, it is time for you to ask your question. Okay. Okay, someone is saying, please, can you go over how to identify my child's multiple intelligence? How to identify my child's multiple intelligence. Okay, like I said, I mentioned a few steps or things that you can do as a parent to help you identify your learner's multiple intelligence. And one of the first things I said was that you should observe. Be observant. Observe how this child does things naturally without you pushing them to do it. You should observe how they do things naturally, how they do things with ease, the things that they find and they find interesting and doesn't drain them. Ask questions like, what do my children do when no one is forcing them? You can also say, you can also notice what they do with ease, like I said. Intelligence often shows up as what comes naturally, what doesn't drain them, and what excites them. What comes naturally, what does not drain them, and what excites them. I hope this answers your question. Okay. While we wait for the other people and their question, please, this offer 19,500 naira for tonight, and it ends midnight. It ends midnight. Per child, you are allowed to pay 19,500 naira, but if you're registering for more than one child, 2 children above, 15,000 naira. And please, this offer lasts till midnight because we are wanting to work with limited number of children. Drop in the comment section or type I'm interested. And please, when you make payments, those of us on Zoom can actually see my screen. Just those on YouTube, just drop a message on the comment section that you want to register your child, and then we would respond to that immediately. So like I said, it's a career discovery bootcamp. It's a 1-week intense teaching where we get to understand who your children are, what they do, how to find their natural strength, their multiple intelligence, the kind of career they can go into, the kind of subject they should study, they should choose, the kind of course they should study, and so on and so forth. You do not force your children into doing something because that's what you believe they should do. It's a very dangerous thing as a parent to guess. I was in that situation where I just wanted to guess. I said, okay, well, probably this will work, this will work, this will work. At the end of it all, money will be wasted. Why spend money in what, after 4 or 5 years of being in the university, you will not use the degree? But rather, knowing who that child is and the kind of potentials the child has, you can now know the kind of course the child can study in the university and now begin to live a life fulfilling with their inner potential, the thing they find doing naturally without a struggle, and enjoy it. Why make wealth? Why they are creating wealth out of it? So I want to thank us so much for tonight. every one of us that joined the webinar. I'm super, super, super grateful. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you so much for joining in. I'm sure we grabbed one or two things. But before we go, I would want us to type in the comment section one or two things that you learned from today, and one or two things that you will be, that one thing rather, that you will be doing differently. The approach you will take differently to your children. Please let us type in the comment section, what is that one thing that you learned today, and what is that one thing you would do differently. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate, and we would have to call this a night and see you all in our next class. Oh, okay. I think someone raised his hand. Okay. All right. You raised your hand. Okay. All right. Thank you all so much for today. See you in our next class. Same time, 7 p.m. Do not miss. Invite a parent, an educator, a teacher, because every Saturday by 7 p.m. it's always an interactive, intensive teaching section. Enjoy the rest of your evening and happy weekend. Okay. How can teachers identify a child's dominant intelligence without relying on standardized tests? And how do we ensure that identification is accurate? Okay. Like I said, how teachers can identify a child's dominant intelligence without relying on standardized tests. So standardized tests, I believe you mean the normal giving of mathematics tests, English tests, biology tests, chemistry tests, and all of that. Is that the teachers can observe and ask questions. What is this subject that this child is doing naturally? And this child has good grades. And then the teacher can also, aside the four walls of books, academics, that's why there's something we call extracurricular activities. Aside the studies, the teacher is allowed to figure out and observe, does this child enjoy playing with people? When it's time for sports, when it's time for showing of talent, showcasing of talent in the school, does this child, participate? That is one way the teacher can identify their child's or a learner's dominant intelligence without relying on standardized tests. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Calista. A child that does not like reading, that is not a weakness. It's not a weakness. A child that does not like reading is not a weakness. What you should do, Madam Calista, is that observe, what does this child do naturally? I'll get back to your question. Let me finish up the other question that was here. So what the teacher can do is that aside the four walls of books, academics, teaching, observe in the extracurricular activity, what does the child do naturally? Does this child have a problem with playing volleyball, sports? That's how to identify. Aside the books, aside teaching. And how do you ensure that that identification is accurate? Is that you pay attention over and again. And when you've figured that out and you believe that, okay, you cannot have the eyes of other people. So when you've had like witnesses and then now have a one-on-one conversation, and then you cannot give this child skills. Okay, do this, do that, do this. With that, you can then understand that this is this child's strongest intelligence. Because of time, let me get into the next question. The next question says, a child that does not like reading, is that a weakness? It is not a weakness, ma'am. It's for you to now understand that how can this child love reading? How can the child love reading? How? For instance, if your child cannot pick up a book to say, I want to read this book, sit down and read this book, because of the content of the book. For instance, the child may be a visual learner. You can actually get that book in a visual representation for the child. So for instance, you are trying to teach the child to study a subject, a particular subject, either in chemistry. You're trying to teach the child a topic in chemistry, and the child is not even understanding, and it's time for the child to even read at home. The best way for the child to understand what it is to show the child visually. So if you cannot, like the way I listed a lot of things during teaching, that these are ways that you can identify your child's learning style, or multiple or strongest intelligence. You can actually try different things to know that which can actually work for this child. So a child that does not like reading is not a weakness, but you can make the child love reading, because it is expected that everybody reads every day. It is expected. So it is for you to know that how does this child do things naturally. Then in that way, you can bring in reading as their natural way. Oh my goodness, you can't hear me. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me, Madam Kalista? The line is breaking. Oh. Okay. Sorry. Okay, can you hear me well? Is it better now? Please let me know. Is it?
Please. A child that does not like reading.
Okay.
Is that a weakness? Or, I don't know, is it a weakness?
Okay.
That's my question.
Okay, thank you very much. So a child that does not like reading, that is not a weakness. It is not a weakness. Where the challenge is that the child does not enjoy reading the way probably the school or you as a parent has taught them to read. So, like I said, you have to observe. You have to observe. What does this child do naturally? What does this child enjoy doing without forcing them? In that way, you can inculcate reading into them or into that child. So, for instance, you can actually look at it that, okay, this child doesn't like sitting at a place. Or this child loves to sing. Or this child loves to watch TV. So, because the child loves to watch TV, such a child